Eagles, owls, hawks, pigeons, geese, and other species of birds can be found nesting in trees, bathing in waterways, and soaring through the skies. The sight of their flights can make for a tranquil view, but sometimes their habits can become annoying.
We have a lot of different types of birds in Colorado. I would say in Greenwood Village you could probably find over 200 different species of birds just in Greenwood Village alone. Those birds are songbirds, you can find hawks, you might find eagles kind of passing through the area. Their habitat can vary a lot depending on what kind of birds we're talking about. 90% of our bird species will use a riparian area such as this at some point of their life cycle. Songbirds, you can find those in any place too. You can find them out on the plains, and some like pasture land, real short grasses, some like wooded areas, and some stay right here in riparian areas their entire life cycle. Hawks and eagles are some of the other birds that you might see come through here, and again their habitat's really going to change a lot. As far as their food habits and what they eat, that also can vary depending on which kind of birds we're talking about. A lot of the birds are insect eaters and seed eaters, so they might be foraging on some of the plants, some of the vegetation that's in the area, or getting some of the insects in the area. Your larger birds, when you get up to hawks and eagles, they might be eating smaller mammals, so mice, small rodents, that kind of thing. Pigeons are actually domestic, so any domestic wildlife, Division of Wildlife does not manage those. Landowners are able to manage those on their property as they see fit. So there's a lot of options when it comes to pigeons on how to discourage them from your property. It kind of goes back to noise, light, sound, anything you can use to discourage them. So if you have an area where you see them all the time, any chance you can get to run out there, bang pots and pans, make a lot of noise, try and scare them out of that area, that'll be really helpful. If you have a certain area where they're roosting, what you might do is put some like fishing line or some type of a wire about 2 inches above where they're roosting. Just strap that across and that'll make it hard for them to get a foothold. So there are a few recommendations on figure out why they're there, the area they're at, and then just trying to discourage them from that area. When it comes to geese, there's a few more issues because we take a lot of these areas where we've had geese for quite some time, but then we change it to make it better habitat or more quality habitat for geese, and then we start getting a lot of conflicts. So again, the reason they're there is because of that habitat, that food, that water, and that shelter. So figure out which component it is that they're looking for, and if you can find a way to exclude it or remove it, that's one way you can try and get rid of the geese. Otherwise, it's going out there and trying to shoo them out of that area and discourage them from areas where you really don't want them.
Some important advice to remember when dealing with birds in the village. If you witness newly hatched birds that have fallen from their nest, return them to the nest in a safe manner, or place them on a high branch to keep them away from pets. When young birds begin to fly, they often spend time on the ground perfecting their flying skills. It is good to leave them alone and let them learn. Do not feed geese. Feeding compounds overpopulation and invites disease. Planting trees, thick bushes, and dense hedges between grassy areas and water create a visual barrier, making your property less attractive to geese.